You gotta be firm in this time, son. You gotta be strong in this time, son. I'm a survivor. I will survive. I will survive. And I'm a firm believer. We'll forever shine just to stay alive. That simple means say nobody can hold me, man. Nobody can change my energy. Nobody can hold me sick. I will let alone negativity. Nobody can hold me, man. Nobody can change my energy. Nobody can. Nobody can. Everybody show me some strength. No weakness, show me a lamb. Strength. No weakness, show them who we are. Strength. No weakness, show me a lamb. Everybody's strength. No weakness, show them who we are. And when you roll, your enemies they must tremble. Your enemies they must tremble. Yo, and when you roll, everything have to humble. Everything have to humble. I'm a go-getter. I just go hard. I just go hard. And I'm a kind of fella. Put my trust in God. Put my trust in God. That simple means say nobody can hold me.
Feeling hungry, grab a snack. Caribbean food delight. Jamaican patties, light and flaky. Caribbean food delight. Taste the difference. Caribbean food delight. Grab a patty, take a bite. Caribbean food delight. Quick and easy, grab a patty, take a bite. Caribbean food delight. Oh yeah.
You gotta be strong in this time, son. I'm a survivor.
Right along.
We'll forever shine just to stay alive. That simple means say nobody can hold me, man. Nobody can change my energy. Nobody can hold me sick. I will let alone negativity. Nobody can hold me, man. Nobody can change my energy. Nobody can. Nobody can. Everybody show me some strength. No weakness, show me a lamb. Strength. No weakness, show them who we are. Strength.
All right. Strength, no weakness. Yeah, that should be my forever motto. Hey, welcome to the Ride, guys. Welcome to Ride Along Live for today. It is Wednesday. Yeah, Wednesday on the Ride. And let me start off, guys, with apology. I am 10 or 11 minutes late. Happens. Don't usually happen, but it happened today. My phone was dead. I was rushing from a particular event, and my two guests was just left unaware as to what's happening. Telling you, yeah, when you have good guests, eh? So anyway, exactly at the time that we're supposed to go live, which is about 6 p.m., that's when I got the call. But that's when my phone got a little bit of charge, and I could actually jump on and get everything together. But I apologize, guys. As I said, we're not normally late. All right, so you guys know how that goes. All right, Robbie Benjamin, how you doing? Big up yourself, Robbie. Lacey J, Larry J, Lydia James. Hey, Favor King, how you doing? Welcome to the Ride. I know we're a little bit late. We could jump right in, guys. But we can't start without we doing housekeeping, basic housekeeping. I want everybody to share up the program, as I'm doing right now. Invite a few friends to the Ride so they could partake in this great conversation. Today we have the leader of Her Majesty Opposition, Honorable TOBIAS CLEMENT. He's going to be chatting with us live. And also, we have a young man by the name of Mr. Trevor Modest. I'll explain Mr. Modest's position here and why we asked Mr. Modest to make a special appearance on the program today. But it's all good. It's all good. A lot to discuss, a lot to unpack. So go ahead, share up the program right now. Share, put it in a page. invite a few friends. We're going to wait 2 minutes before we start because it's very important that we have the whole community involved in this discussion right here. Patsy, how you doing? Pick up yourself. Chemo, Masia, I got this one group that I got to share it in before we start. Last group. There we go. 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 All right. One more. And then we good to go. All right. Ready to go. All good. Hi, guys. Help me welcome. He's no stranger to Ridealong. He's a avid viewer of the program as well. He is the leader of Her Majesty's Opposition, the Honorable Mr. Tobias Clement. Mr. Clement, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing pretty okay. Thank you for having me on. And let me say hello to all your viewers, listeners, and the Ride Along crew. I think I know some of the names that you call. So I think I am in good company.
Yes. You are. And I have to thank you again because I've seen you. You've been making a lot of runs within the past couple of days. Saw you on Killen Bob, my good friend Killen Bob, Dr. Killen Bob, and always keeping everyone abreast as to what's happening in the country currently. There are some very topical issues that we're going to start with. We're going to be speaking about one of the very topical issue of police brutality, and it seems what is looking like an increase in reporting of police brutality. Just as of a few days ago, we had an incident in Grenada involving a young man who was allegedly hung or they said that he hung himself inside of a police cell. We're going to be speaking about that. We also know that you were you also appointed some senators. That could be pretty exciting, and everything topical to this. So let's start with this very topical issue, Mr. Tobias Clement. We are you seeing from where you sit? Are you seeing an increase in the amount of police brutality reported crimes in Grenada from where you sit? What are you seeing? What's the vibe on the ground?
I do believe that with the emergency measures for COVID, it seems as if the police has been given extraordinary powers. And sometimes, they take these powers that are given to them because of the lockdown and so forth, and it goes overboard with it. I mean, I do believe that since from last year, I remember a young man was shot by the police. They took him for his brother. Then we had some other incident. And recently, in the last couple of weeks, I do believe we have had some embarrassing moments for the Royal Grenada Police Force. I mean, I support the police force because they are necessary. They are the ones to enforce the law in our country. But many times we have had situations where the police sometimes overstep the bounds. For instance, I think just last week a policeman arrested a security guard because when trying to go into a business and the guard asked him to put on a mask because you cannot enter the business or the premise without a mask. And because the police is who he is, some scuffle ensue, and the police arrested him and brought him in. I think because of the public outcry, we had a reverse because the security was released without charge, and they have to come back now and charge the police officer. And then secondly, the incident that you talk about, the death of Chevy Ravi Batiste in police custody. I do believe that regardless of if they said it was suicide by hanging, anytime an individual die in police custody, an independent investigation should be done. It doesn't matter if it is the evidence are blaring or the evidence are sketchy, but I do believe for policing now, we're talking about a young man that said alleged hang himself in Central Police Station. I've been to the police station many times. The holding cell is just across from the desk. How is it that a man could hang himself and you sitting right there?
Right.
For someone to take the life is not an easy thing. This is why, like, if your life is leaving you, you'll be gasping because the body don't want to die. But for the police to be vindicated, and I hope that they are vindicated, we need an independent investigation. You know, they say the police investigating the police. Too often we have had that in Grenada where the police investigating the police. What I will do, I will call that they set up maybe through the Integrity Commission, an
Yes.
independent body to investigate these happenings in police when police are involved. Because, for instance, this is not the first time that an individual died while in police custody. And the claim is always fishy, sketchy. Now, I went to, and it raised my awareness more so because particularly I know Chevy very well. He walked with me, he talked with me, he is a brother to me. And when it is said that he hung himself, well, I know he sometimes he's very miserable. But when I went to the wake, overwhelmingly, when you hear the story, because Chevy was arrested on Sunday,
Yes.
he and his brother, I think, had some fight or some scuffle because his brother is a police. They called the squad for him, they took him, they released him on Monday without charge. But he reported that he was well beaten while he was in the custody, that is Sunday night, before he was released. And now again, they arrested him again almost immediately after because he got himself in trouble. Someone probably just got fed up with him and decided, well, we're tired with you. But I am not saying this is what happened. What I am saying, let an independent investigation be done so that if the police must be vindicated, let them be vindicated. But let us know the truth. And
Right. Right.
the other thing that I'm saying, it is high time now. We have all the technologies in the world. Look at the United States, for instance. Men and women in the United States always are at the mercies of police. But because now they are equipped with body cam and cameras in the rooms, you can know exactly what is going on. How come that in our this jurisdiction in Grenada, there ain't no camera footage in the police station, there ain't no camera footage in the cell, there ain't no camera footage. So you cannot. So I would call to for us
Mhm.
to equip the police with the necessary tools of modern technology so that when, if perhaps some of our good officers that are there to protect and serve misbehave, maybe we might be able to see. Because don't tell me all the officers in the force are angels. Some of them are very good officers. They will give blood, sweat, and tears to protect and serve. But again, there are times when maybe there might be one or two bad apples,
Yeah.
and the stain will come on the name of the entire police force, because this couple incidents that happened over the last week or two is embarrassing to the Royal Grenada Police Force, the Commissioner of Police, to the government.
Yeah. Yeah. And the whole world is taking a look. I want to bring in here really quickly. I want to bring in here really quickly a friend, um, Mr. Trevor. Trevor Modest. He is a retired officer in charge of crime, MBE. Trevor Modest, MBE. And to get an idea, because there's such a big cloud hanging over this investigation, right? So much inconsistencies, a lot of people would say. And I think if anyone could kind of give us some reliable information, would be Mr. Trevor Modest. He worked on this thing so many times. Mr. Trevor Modest, welcome to the program. How are you doing, sir?
Well, I'm fine, and thank you very much. It's the first time I've been on this program, and I'm glad to share my experience on this program so that I can help assist or clear up or give people some understanding of how difficult it is to police, and in particular, Grenada.
Right, right, right. Let's speak about this specific case here, right? Involving this young man, Chevy, who was allegedly um, hung inside. They say he committed suicide inside the police station. And folks are saying that he hung himself with a boxer shot. From your experience, is that possible?
Yes, it's possible. It's possible for anybody to hang themselves with a boxers or any, like even up to the size of a handkerchief. It's possible to hang yourself with that. The ligature or the equipment that is used to hang somebody, or the noose you call it, don't necessarily have to be completely around somebody's neck for them to be hung. And the term hanging again have to be understood in its true context. Hanging don't literally mean that you are off the ground. You can be hung in any position. You can be hung standing, you can be hung sitting, kneeling, or even lying down. And people do that to commit suicide. So literally just saying hanging, you have to take into context the actual position, the mechanism in which the person died, so to speak.
Right. But I know that there is tons of suspicion, and I want to let people know that you are retired. You have no horse in this race at this point in time. You are here for your analytics and for your years of experience in this particular field. People are saying, nah, they don't believe. It has to be some kind of cover up. Because where are the evidence? Where are the photographs? Where are this? Where's all this information? Is it quite possible that some incident would happen like this and the police would not gather photographic evidence of the incident?
Well, any crime scene, any major crime scene like that, a hanging, you must take photograph. Even though the victim has been cut down, photographs have to be taken of the victim, the position of the victim, the place where it occurred, the ligature or the instrument used to commit the offense. Those photographs must be taken.
Right.
So
and what
there will, I shouldn't say they will, there should be photographs taken, and those photographs have to be analyzed, and the autopsy must take place to determine the cause of death, and it's sent to the DPP, that's the Director of Public Prosecution, for examination and analysis in regards to the mechanism, and then it would either go to the coroner's desk, or it would go in front of a judge or a magistrate, depending on the suspicion.
Right. What are some of the reaction from the human body, the natural reaction from the human body when someone is hung, and what are some of the things that investigators would look for to conclude that someone hung themselves?
Before I answer that, let me just say I was given an experience I had because of something the minister just stated there. I was in CID at one time. I was a young investigator. That time I just returned from Canada doing my studies. And the man hung himself in the cell. And I was about 3 feet away from him. And he was in that holding cell. And I did not hear a word coming from him. Not even his breathing did I hear. There were 2 prisoners inside there with him. One that is shouting, officer, this man is himself. And we went in, cut rope from his hoodie, because it was a hoodie at the time. It was in CID, he was on suspicion, so we could not take his clothes from him. But his hoodie had that string, and he used that to hang himself. We carried him to the hospital. The doctors in the hospitals, who knew nothing of the circumstances, they started making noise and querying and saying that we hung him. Lo and behold, he was resuscitated. And he said he did not hang himself. No, nobody hung him. He did not hang himself. I said, yes, you hung yourself. He said, no, I didn't hang myself. I don't know what happened to me. Now, you have to understand the condition sometimes people are in when they're in the cells, and the detention room, and they have been detained. The trauma they go through, sometimes they don't realize that they don't understand what they are doing. So you have to understand those things also.
Right. So to the specific,
So now let's go to the specific instance now in regards to hanging. First and foremost, a man can hang himself in any position. Now, when you hang, what you call asphyxiation will take place. And that is the cutting off the arterial blood and the venous blood going to the brain and coming from the brain. Basically, that's what it is. But when that is happening, in the mechanism of death, there are certain things that take place. One, you will stop the passage. The man would, because of his gasping for breath, and the brain would cause the body to react in certain ways which are involuntary. And it's like simple maths, 1 and 1, 2. If a man is being hung, you must see certain signs. One, in his neck, the ligature or the noose must leave marks, and there must be transfer of fibers from the ligature and his neck, and from skin from his neck to the ligature. You must see that. You must see those marks. He will bite his tongue, or he will salivate, or he will discharge. Whether it comes from his mouth, his anus, or his penis, you will get those things. He will either pee, he will either defecate, he will salivate. You look at those things, it could directly tell you exactly if he was hung in the position that you find him. If he was hung somewhere else, then there would be different things. You'll have to look at the floor and see the signs and photograph the floor, because sometimes you're not seeing it. So you will have to photograph it and then enlarge the photographs to actually see clearly what happens.
And absent,
I cannot say, where I am sitting here,
right,
I cannot say if the individual hung himself, because I was not there. I have not seen the evidence, so I don't make a judgment on it. I don't make a judgment call. But what I know, no police officer, like if a police officer is so foolish as to hang a man in a cell, because you're going to get caught. And I don't believe, it will be surprising to me, let me say, that some fool would do that.
Right.
That's my only position.
Right.
Because you're going to be caught if you hang a man in the cell. Let me give you one example. No trained forensic investigator would accept the fact that this man in the United States, they say that hung himself in his cell. No trained investigator will believe that. The evidence does not show that he hung himself in his cell. The evidence show by the autopsy report, because of the breaking of the HI bone, he was strangled.
Yeah.
So you can't cover it. It's like spelling apple, A-P-P-L-E, apple. The letters must be there.
Yeah.
To prove that is apple. In a suicide or hanging, the letters must be there. The evidence, the signs must be there. If the signs are absent, something is wrong.
Okay, Mr. Tobias, you came on back. I brought you back in here because I wanted to get your take on it, because it's important that we clear up, try at least to understand the process. Do you have any question as it relates to the incident, and what's your take on what Mr. Modest is saying?
Yes, well, the thing about it, I think Mr. Modest it was quite clear, and I will go back to my former statement that I will call for an independent investigation with an independent autopsy. Well, the autopsy should be independent, and like I say, if the police must be vindicated, then let it be vindicated. But I am glad that he said, anytime anybody perish in police custody, there must be an investigation. just to find out the facts. And we cannot just sweep it under the rug and say, okay, he hung himself and that's it. Because the people are looking at us. I mean, we know that this is not the first time it happened. And I do believe in the science. And I believe that the science will show the evidence that are there. And when you connect the dots, if the police are innocent or if he did not hang himself, we will know. If he hung himself, we will the investigation go its way. But until then, we must be vigilant as a people, because sometimes we have a way in Grenada when you do not hear about it, you do not know where this investigation go. So the pressure must be brought to bear with the authorities so that at the end of the day, we do not just have an investigation that go on for years and then afterwards, with our short memory, it just disappear. Let the people know that there is an investigation and it must be done quickly, and so that people can be put to rest that this is exactly what happened to Mr. Batiste while in police custody.
Yeah. Mr. Modest, absent of a few other things, I know we have a lot to speak about, and I promise you, Mr. Modest, I'll bring you back on a program and we'll get the full analysis, everything, because you are very knowledgeable on this. And sorry that we just have a segment to talk about this particular incident, but there is so much question that you need a full episode. You need a full ride along all by yourself so we could talk about it.
Yeah, but I want to respond to something Mr. Tobias stated, and it's imperative that I do that, because you see, police officers are being blamed for not doing certain things which they can do. Mr. Tobias is a politician. He was in office. And the role of the politician in regards to making laws is very important. The role of the politician in regards to capital expenditure and development for police officers and training and development. I trained myself. I had to get the funds and go and study for myself. I had to wait when experts like Dr. Fred Jordan and Dr. Ramsey come from the United States to teach at St. George's University, get in contact with me and assist me in going to Jackson Memorial and Metro Dade to do training. Politicians are not interested in the development of police officers. Get that? First and foremost, Trevor Modest, yes, is a forensic scientist. What is government doing to train other people? I've been qualified since about 20, 30 years ago. How much people are trained in my field to continue what I'm doing? Come on. That's the problem. Changing laws in regards to information coming from the police force. Changing laws about sharing information about investigations. That's what you have to do. If people are aware of what police are doing, how investigation is being conducted, we ain't having that problem.
Right. Again, I'm very, very sorry. We had to rush this segment. But I promise you, Mr. Modest, we have to have a full conversation, a full hour on this here. One other thing I wanted to touch on, and Mr. Clement, do you wanted to respond to anything that was said here before we move?
Well, I do agree with Mr. Modest, because at the beginning, I did say that it is high time that we put technology to work for the police. And the technology, the police themselves cannot get it for themselves. I mean, if we had monitoring devices and cameras and everything, maybe we may not have be at this point today. So it is something that I will call for. In terms
Mr.
of the development of the police force.
Mr. Clement, sorry for
I did not cut you, so I did not cut you. So what I would call for, and what I have called for, is that the government implement the development of the police force, that the police, the buildings can be equipped with cameras, the holding cell can be equipped with cameras, the police themselves can have body cameras. Bring it to a modern force, and not just like the 1970s or the 1960s.
Mr. Clement, I wasn't continue to say degrading you. I know your stance in regards to those things. But you remember, let's go back to the cameras in this. You can't put camera in the cell. Amnesty will kill us. You can't put a camera in the cell. You can't take out all the man clothes. That's why he was left with his boxers. You remember in Gary days, you believe men would commit suicide. I wasn't a police then. I was going to school. And you take the boxers off. And when you take the boxers off, red amnesty in getting involved, brutality. What are you going to do? The police is always between a rock and a very, very hard place.
Yeah.
The problem is exposure, passing the information, letting people know what is happening. That's the issue. Finance. Oh, but man, financing. Oh, you go financing police. Okay, yes, police. The monies are going to police force. The budget every year is in regards to consumables and current expenditure. Nothing about capital development.
Right.
Nothing about forensic and technical development.
Listen, you're making some very valid points, right? And I don't mean to cut you, but we have a short segment that we have to touch on there. But Mr. Modest, let us engage in a full line discussion in the very, very near future, probably next week, where we could talk about all these things as it relates to police development, financing, and what could be done to improve the police force and reporting and information. So I applaud coming on and sharing this information, and I promise you we will get back and talk a full line of discussion sometime next week as it relates to policing the population of Grenada. We appreciate you, Mr. Modest. We will jump back on this discussion again. All right?
Thank you very much, sir.
All right, great, no problem. All right, guys. So we one of the other major issues affecting Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique is the question of vaccination, and that's a very topical issue right now, and mandating vaccines, right? I know, Mr. Clement, you spoke very passionately on this. We've seen over the past 24 to 48 hours. Are you hearing me, Mr. Clement?
Just give me a minute. I think I'm getting a dead battery, so I'm looking for some power. I'll be powering up for just a minute. I come just like you almost now. Hold on.
No problem. Here what we'll do, guys. We're gonna be talking on the question of mandating vaccination to the population, right? And getting Mr. Tobias Clement take on that. Let's take a quick break. Mr. Tobias Clement going to charge up his phone, and when we come back, we're also going to open up the phone lines and have you chime in on this. We'll be right back.
Welcome to TD Bank, where you'll find the personalized attention you deserve and the legendary experience you expect. Let's do business. If you are a medical or dental practitioner, contact me to hear about our tailored lending solutions for residential mortgages, equipment purchases, practice-related commercial mortgages and refinance. Visit me at 500 Baychester Avenue to hear more about our full range of personal and small business banking solutions. See you soon.
Hi guys, we are back here and we're talking with Mr. Tobias Clement. In the previous segment, we had a quick conversation with Trevor Modest, who is in charge, is a retired police officer in charge of crime, MBE. It's Trevor Modest, MBE, retired officer in charge of crime and analyzing crime scenes. Are you back and up, Mr. Tobias Clement?
Yes, I am.
Okay, great, 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 great. All right. Let's talk, Mr. Clement, on the issue of vaccination. We saw what happened there in SGU, and we saw the public outcry right now as it relates to the question of being mandated to take the COVID-19 vaccine. What is your take on vaccination in particular? Vaccination in general. What's your take on vaccination?
Well, the truth about it, Kellen, in terms of vaccination, we are not stranger to vaccines.
Right.
That must be understood. When you're a child, I believe that you take measles, rubella, mumps, polio. We take yellow fever vaccine. You take tetanus vaccine. So, vaccine is an instrument of science that is used that have helped mankind over the years. There was a time when we were ravaged, and then you had penicillin came in, and ampicillin, and all these drugs were life saving. But over the years, they have been developed over time. They have gone through the clinical trials for years, some of them. Not all vaccine that was made was proved in terms of the efficacy. Some of them probably were cast out even before they hit the door. So I am one that look, for instance, I believe a very important vaccine was brought on the market a few years ago, that is Gardasil, which
Yes.
help young women and young men, prevent them from contracting the HPV virus that causes cervical cancer. And I think it is advocated now that young girls and women take it even before that they are sexually active, so that they would not contract such virus and may develop cervical cancer after. But vaccines are important, and you have to understand the science. Now, I have been vaccinated. I go for my second dose on during this week. At the same time, I told people that I am involved in science. I am involved in biochemistry, in molecular biology. I work with bacteria and so forth all the time. And if it was that they were developing the vaccine and they asked me to do the trial run, I will do the trial run, because I would take one for science. That is who we are. I would not ask you to do it and I am developing it. There comes a point in time when some of us almost have to be used as scapegoat, or sometimes we say as guinea pigs. In
Right.
this case here, you're developing something that will help humanity. Now, where I do have a problem is that most of the vaccine now for COVID-19 have been given emergency use.
Right.
Emergency use means, therefore, that there are still data out there that must be collected. We still have to look at a lot of the parameters before a definite conclusion can come and say, well, this vaccine or that vaccine have been given the okay. I mean, sometimes vaccine takes years to develop, but now we must understand, because of advance in science and technology, we have different platforms, say, than 40 years ago, or excuse me, or 10 years ago, where we can build this thing almost today for tomorrow. But even if we build it today for tomorrow, it must go through the clinical trials. And the clinical trials, you have the first stage, the second stage, the third stage. You have to maybe do it with a few thousand people and see what is the effectiveness, see if there are any drawbacks, see if any side effects, and so forth. Now, even now, when you're taking certain vaccine or certain antibiotics, they would ask you if you're allergic to certain things. Now,
Right.
with to say that you're mandating me to take a vaccine that maybe I would not want to take, but the catch of it is, if I am mandated to take the vaccine against my will, and because I have to secure my job, I will take it. But if something amiss was to happen to me, the person given the vaccine is not responsible. The company producing the vaccine is not responsible. let's say, God forbid, I passed away and I leave my family behind because of the vaccine. Who takes responsibility when I was forced to take it?
Yeah.
The employer would say no. The producer of the vaccine would say no. And this, so I do think that we have to be very careful when we mandate drug, because for instance, even sometimes in the hospital, you're sick unto death and the doctor have to give you a life-saving medication. They will still have to ask your permission. Can I do chemotherapy on you? Can I do radiation on you? Will your family allow you to, And now you're saying that, okay, no, none of these things will be given to you, but you must take it. And what I'm saying, if it's under emergency use and you must take it and something happens, God forbid something happens to you, then nobody is to be held responsible.
What
And,
is
and
there?
that is what it is.
What is there in law, right? And before I ask this question, let me just say this. Although I'm very flattered to be called Kellon, I'm
I
Junior
say,
George.
Keller, sorry, I,
That's
I, I almost called you Dr. Bob.
bad.
Junior, sorry.
He's my good friend.
I think I was having, you see, this is what happens when you have several conversations. I think I'm so sorry. I think I did about, oh my God, six,
So,
seven interviews over the last few days.
at least he didn't call me GBN or MTV, but that's fine. That's
I know, I know. I've been through the whole works.
that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. That's okay. Keller Bob, Dr. Keller Bob is a good friend of mine. Is there anything in law that mandates what the government initiative is right now? We're seeing that they have one the employees are people are being fired. Well, not fired, but people are asked to before they come back on the premises of the job, they have to be vaccinated. And I must also say that this is not only a Grenada push. I just came from Jamaica, and the resort that I was staying in, I inquired to the folks that was there, and everyone that worked there, Jamaica also mandate that everyone take the vaccine. So I said, "What happened if you don't take the vaccine?" She said, "Well, you know what? You just can't work, right?" And they just gave up the fact that that is how it is and that is how it is, right? But is
Well,
there
the
anything
truth
in China?
about it, Elon, I think, Junior, the
That's
truth about it is, I do believe that we have fallen short in some areas in terms of the vaccine for people,
Mhm.
whether it's be Pfizer, AstraZeneca, Johnson and Johnson, whatever vaccine it might be. I think as the world and our country goes along, they're trying to see how they can tweak to fit the circumstances. But even before the vaccine came to Grenada, I do not think that the education of our people was well done in terms of the pros and the cons of the vaccine, in terms of drawbacks and setbacks, in terms of what people are dealing with. I mean, and these are all information that people are seeking. I know a lot of people call me to find out if that they should. I think that they should take the vaccine, but I would have to defer and tell people, well, I have taken the vaccine because of who I am. But at the same time, you probably may have to consult with your physician. If you have any underlying problem, let know what is going on with you as an individual, because sometimes you may have adverse effect, but just don't go blindly because they say that you have to take it. So I think what I would continue to advocate for, let people know exactly the benefits, the pros and the cons for them as an individual for taking the vaccine. I see today that they have what they say that they want to promote the vaccine, so they do a lotto. You could get a chance to win $10,000. I mean, is that it? Suppose you take the vaccine today, and because of maybe greed and you have some underlying problem, you take the vaccine, and next thing you succumb. I
Mhm.
mean, I don't know. I think we ought to we ought to put most solid structures in place, and let the health professional and those people that are involved in the field of health promotion be able to do their job and to educate people in terms of vaccination.
Yeah, yeah, and let me just also add that I my position on vaccine is that I think people should, should first do their own private, talk to their physician, and make their own personal decision. I took the vaccine. I also had COVID, right? And I would advise people to take the vaccine after they do their own analysis and they get the recommendation from the physician, right? And that's my strong, solid position on it. But here's what the difference with where my reality and the reality of someone in Grenada. Here I had the Pfizer vaccine, right? There's Moderna, there is Johnson and Johnson. There is an option, a list of options. There's even there is a Sputnik from Russia. There is a new vaccine from Cuba, which is not FDA approved, of course. But there are options here in the US and around the world that is available. What is so difficult from the government of Grenada and government of the Caribbean to secure options, so people give people an option of vaccine? Because right now it's only AstraZeneca. Why?
I
No.
think that will help, because I've had several calls from people also that asking and inquiring, is the vaccine from Cuba in Grenada? I think I did ask the question, and the health ministers once said that they would only use vaccine that is WHO approved. But I think the Russian vaccine, that's the Sputnik, the vaccine from Cuba, and some of the other vaccine, I think we have about 13 different vaccines, and they all have efficacy probably over 85%. So I do believe that we should widen or broaden the horizon and get other options for people. But moreover, so I want to believe, and sometimes I'm asking myself, uh, what we are asking for, are we setting the standard so high in terms of vaccination in Grenada? Because I am believing, although we are a population of about 100,000 people, in my mind, Kelon, I do
Junior,
not think we will ever get over 30,000 people vaccinated. I'm
I tell
looking at 25 to 30,000 people vaccinated. Because if you know the consciousness of Grenadians and you study them properly, you would know, come hell or high water, some people will just not take the vaccine. Not even if maybe Jesus Christ come down and say, take it, because that is who some of our people are, of where they stand. And so, I mean, if you have my grandfather who is 70 or 75 years, he's at home, he doesn't have to go anywhere, and he don't feel like taking the vaccine, even if you put a gun to his head, he would not take it.
yeah,
So you have to look at where the Grenadian population is. And so as a country, if we go and we secure 80,000 doses or 100,000 doses, thinking that maybe 70,000 people will get vaccinated in Grenada, I would say that is wishful thinking. Because even if, say, we want to say have herd immunity of to 70,000 people, the Grenada that I know, that won't happen. 30,000 people, I would say we do very well.
and we see in different countries like Barbados is doing very well in terms of the vaccination. And other territories, it's kind of it's sporadic in different areas. Here in the US, here in New York to be specific, we just hit important milestone, which is 70% of the adult population are now vaccinated. We had a big
But
celebration. New York is virtually open back up.
while that might be so, Kelon, let us look at the
Junior,
vaccine itself.
Junior,
Is the government telling people, is the vaccine a one-time thing?
right.
Do we have to get follow-up shots? We know and we understand now that the vaccine don't prevent you from getting COVID-19. What the vaccine might do, it might help for you to build up your immunity so that you may not get very sick if you catch COVID? Does it stop you from spreading it? And so we ought to be very mindful that maybe we will have to get booster shots after a certain, because I don't think the vaccine will last forever in his body. And so this kind of education must be done where people are told exactly how the vaccine work and what. Look at, for instance, I made the point the last time in Parliament that in the terms of the smaller islands, Seychelles was 60 something percent vaccinated. They did very well at the beginning, but because they were vaccinated, they let the guard down, and everything went up.
Mm-hmm.
And what they were discovering, even people that got, well, they were fully vaccinated, catch COVID-19 and can spread it. So it's something that we have to be very mindful of in terms of COVID. And look at it this way, Kellon.
No,
I think the
hold
vaccine,
hold-
the
hold
virus has a mind of its own.
on, hold on
Look
a second.
how many different variants we have had now.
Yeah,
And maybe some of the vaccines that we are using now, we'll have to tweak it down the road so that it can work.
yeah.
I think we are there already where they are beginning to tweak the vaccine so that the virus themselves are mutating and changing so that it can continue to go. But until we get there and until our people begin to understand
mhm.
the importance and all the trappings surrounding being vaccinated, not being vaccinated, and some people think, okay, I'm vaccinated, so now I can do whatever I want to do. It doesn't work that way,
Right,
and we
right.
must understand that.
Let's open up the phone lines really quickly. But let me remind you again, the name is Junior George. I think
Junior, I always say Kellon. Junior
oh,
George.
I'm Ke-
Ride along.
I'm Kellen for today, man. I'm Kellen Bob. How you doing? Let's
No,
open up the
but you see, I am on Kellon's program so many times that
phone. I know. Okay. But that's fine. That's fine. Let's open up the phone lines. I know you're on a time schedule, so we can't keep you for too long. But I want to open up the phone lines because there's a lot of people. There are a lot of people out there that wants to chime in a bit on the topic of mandating vaccination. And while we wait on the calls to come in, I want to talk about the you have just appointed, selected, nominated, or of sort, some new senators. Tell us about the new senators that would be making this way.
well,
Uh,
yes, uh, Miss Rolanda McQueen, Mrs. McQueen has been nominated to serve in the Senate, that is in the Parliament of our country, the upper house. You can remember a couple of weeks ago, a few weeks ago, Senator Noel resigned from the Senate, and he did so, and I was able to sit with Mrs. McQueen, and Mrs. McQueen have agreed to serve her country, Grenada. And I tell people, serving in the parliament is not about serving oneself or serving somebody else. It's about service to country. And with me, I did not give any mandate. I did not give any ultimatum as to service in the parliament. You serve as part of the government of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. And Mrs. McQueen, I do believe that she's well known throughout the Grenada Circle. I just this week congratulated her on Sunday because she is the entrepreneur for Monk Water. And for 3 years in a row, Monk Pure have gotten medal at the preeminent water show in Dubai. And I think this year she won silver, and probably this year she won silver, which is saying that Monk Pure Water from Grenada is the second best water in the world after some company that gets water from the Alps. So I think with her spirit of development, with her spirit of the fight, I think
mhm.
she would bring good debate again to the Senate. And it would make sense that I'm looking at it now. And I said to her, when Monk Pure won, it was not only Monk Pure, but we can say Grenada has a good water, whether it is Monk Pure or Glenegg or Blue or Poly,
Right.
Grenada water is good. And
Yeah.
so I am looking forward. I think a lot of people are looking forward with great expectations that she would prove her mettle, and I do believe that she would be up for the challenge of the Senate. And I think we are going to wait. I think I will also hasten to say that I do believe that tomorrow, God's willing, she would get her instrument of appointment from the Governor General.
Right, right, right. We know, election season is fastly approaching. We're at that period where people start to come together. Political parties are forming. We have TGM who just announced that they are officially going to be transitioning into a political organization. We have GOLP. Of course, we have NDC. You won your seat as a NNP. You later resigned. What is your political aspiration right now? Are you going to be teaming up with TGM? Are you thinking about moving with, solo? Are you planning to run at all? What is your aspiration?
I do believe from where I sit, and I have been working hard and I've been working overtime to try to bring people together, because Grenada at this point in time, we are almost at a loss. I think that people are looking at it, and you have to hold and say bated breath. I do believe, uh, Junior, that you listen, and you listen attentively to the trappings of the leadership of our country in the parliament a couple weeks ago with almost a racist rant, and you are disgusted, you are embarrassed, and this is what we have to teach our children at this point in time. My purpose is, and I wish, if I have one prayer, is to bring all the opposition forces together
You mean
under one
together
umbrella and
bring
unite the
bring
good of the
TGM?
country.
You
Because
mean like bring
if
T?
I form a party, and you have NDC out there, and you have TGM out there, and you have GLP out there, and we all decide to go our separate ways, the government and the status quo now will laugh at us. And I'm not going to get into any business where anybody would laugh at me. If we cannot win. It's simple. I would not hesitate to say that I can go there and win by myself, or NDC can go there and win by itself, or TGM can go, or GOLP could win by themselves. Divided we fall, united we stand.
But that is a
And
reality,
this,
Tobias. That's a reality of no. It's not gonna happen. TGM transitioning. GOLP is a force. They came up again.
then
NDC is there.
what sense would it make? What sense would it make? Some of us would have to put our egos aside, put all our thing about who wants to be leader and who wants not to be leader. And we have perfect example here. Look, for instance, and I spoke to your friend, Dr. Bob, about that. I
Mhm,
said, who would have ever thought that the Arabs and the Jews in Israel would come together to get rid of Benjamin Netanyahu? But they
mhm.
did. Look at what happened in St. Kitts. They have a unity government and they're functioning. Look at what happened in Germany. Angela Merkel is there because of the Christian coalition. So why can't we do it? Are we in Grenada that we are so into ourselves that we cannot put aside it for the good of the country? What would happen? I would ask the question, what would happen if we put aside all our differences and come under one umbrella? I think we would have better governance, we would have democracy at work, we would have the restoration of our institutions in Grenada, and we would have a modern change in Grenada that the likes that you see before. But if everybody wants to be a king, then so be it. Then nobody will be anything.
Right. So you saying that your position is that you're not inclined to join up with any political party, but instead you're looking to bring everybody together collectively to form one body to go up against the NNP for the next general election. That's your
That,
aspiration.
that that is what we will have to do. That is what I will recommend. But if, for instance, we have NNP and we have TGM and we have GOLP and we have NDC, one, two, three. And then some people say I must form my own organization. That is four. Four divided going up against one united. You see what it is? And this is why I would hesitate to say that I will form another political party in Grenada. And these are some of the just the main ones I call, and there are other more, the Progressive Party and the this and the that. So you might have about 6 or 7, and everybody wants to be boss for themselves, but nobody study that the good of the country.
Yeah.
I would rather to get on board with everybody for the good of the country, and this would be probably the next thing that I do, is to talk to everybody and tell them, let's sit down and bring it together, because we have a country to save.
Yeah. Yeah. Well. I mean, I understand. I think that's the proper way. Everybody talk about coming together, and that is what's needed, right? For all of us to come together. The separation, but I think it's a very long stretch because it seems like everybody want to be prime minister. All the leaders
we,
of
we,
the
we
independent.
have I am with hope. I am with hope because, I mean, look, just the new prime minister of Israel is what, 1 or 2 days old now.
Mhm.
And who would have ever thought that the Arab party would come together with the Jewish parties? Because that is like first time it ever happened.
Yeah. 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 That would be a strength in numbers if that were to happen. I will just wait and see. We'll just wait and
We'll
see.
have to wait and see.
We'll,
But I think I would wait with hope. I would wait and work, because they say faith without works is dead. So I would have to work. We would have to work towards it. I didn't say I say we would have to work towards it.
Okay. Again, 718701570 is the number if you want to pose any question to Honorable Tobias Clement before he roll out of here. I guess my final question that we could touch on before we go is something that I heard you kind of said earlier today on an interview, and I want to pose it to you directly. Is Dr. Keith Mitchell a dictator, in your opinion?
I do believe. I do believe. Over the last few years, I have seen dictatorial traits creeping into the governance of our country. And I say it without any apology. When you have a government that has 15 seats twice, and then you throw all institutions that governs our democracy out the window, and it becomes your way or the highway, then that is dictatorial in essence. Let's take, for instance, look at Parliament. Parliament is treated as if it does not even exist. We have the whole trappings of Parliament being thrown out the window. Look, for instance, now, like I mentioned, I said, look, the parliamentary offices that have been served the to the people of Grenada for years before 2018 under the Parliament. After 2018 election, the vote was moved from Parliament and moved under the Prime Minister's office. Imagine your constituency office where you live in New York there. Imagine, okay, the President of the United States is saying, now, my office, the presidential office, is responsible for every representative office, and you can't move here or there because it is under the Prime Minister's office. I said, in every democracy, that is wrong. I mean, there was one lady who came from the Commonwealth, said that this is the first time in her 40-something years investigating the parliaments of Commonwealth that she have ever heard of the parliamentary office moving from under Parliament to under the Prime Minister's office in terms of vote and in terms of this and in terms of that. So every parliamentary office, every MP's office should be independent of the Prime Minister's office and not be subjected to the Prime Minister's office. So isn't that dictatorial?
Yeah, and I guess for you that was the that
Mr.
was that was
Mr.
one that broke the camel back.
Julia, I don't even want to start to get in that mood.
We got a caller. We got a caller real quick. Caller, go right ahead. Ask your question. Where you calling us from?
Okay, Junior, good evening. I'm calling you from New York.
Okay, go right ahead,
Um,
caller.
I want to first of all congratulate Mr. Tobias Clement for being so upright and outspoken when he speaks. When he speaks, a lot of stuff could be, we could learn a lot from him. I want to congratulate him on that first of all, and for standing firm in his position as Her Majesty's opposition. Without him, we don't know what's going on. We just want him to know that there's a lot of people still behind him, supporting him, and so on, and we want him to start applying the pressure. Grenadians, we know who Keith Mitchell are, and he made a very valuable point when he made the point that it's not about forming another political party, but coming together as one. We know, definitely, we knew NDC failed to secure a seat in the last two elections. They're deemed deadbeat. So, in order for things to happen, there have to be some form of unity, and they might be the only viable party right now. Or the GLP, we know after Uncle Gary died, that party died. So, I want to just say to him, hats off, congratulations, keep the fight on. We have a Grenada to build. We could be much better off than we are right now.
Thank you, caller.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Really quickly, let's take a few calls. Another call coming in before we respond. Caller, go right ahead. Where are you calling us from?
I'm calling from New York.
Yeah, hi. Go ahead,
Yes,
caller.
let me just emphasize something on the vaccine. I think when you say like mandatory, isn't this like totalitarianism where the government, hold on the power and the people and they have no say or nothing like this? And I think where do we go in a country like this? Some people cannot even afford medical care. Everyone should see a physician before going to take that vaccine. Even if you can afford to go see a doctor and he requires you to get blood test, urine test, stool test, whatever test he has to get, to see if your liver is good, your kidney, your heart, whatever, they can't even afford to pay for that test. So this mandatory thing, I don't think it's wise. Like old folks used to say, you can take a donkey by the river to drink water. If he doesn't want to drink, there is nothing you can do. There may be some senior citizens in different parts of the island that wants to go to the doctor, can afford to go to the doctor, they have no means of transportation and stuff like that. So there is a lot of things that has to be put in place before government could come up with some kind of things like that. And speaking of the lottery and this vaccine, this thing, okay, 400 people would go to get vaccine. Out of that 400 people, one person got the how many $1,000 that they report to. What happened to the next 399? They get nothing. So it's something that should do collectively where everybody should have benefit from something instead of like just one person.
Right.
That's my opinion on everything. Thank you.
Thank you so much, caller. We appreciate you. So, Clement, again, you want to respond, and then I know we're keeping you over time.
No,
So
from the first caller, he mentioned his support, and I must say, Junior, that without the support of Grenadians at home and abroad, then I do understand and know that I walk a very difficult road from the beginning, because there are some people who are very upset that I moved to be a voice of reason, to be the voice of the opposition, and to be a voice of checks and balance in Grenada. But if it is that I have to continue, like I tell them, the fight is on. And if I have to fight until the last drop of blood in my body, then this is what I know. And this is what I will continue to do, to speak truth to power and bring out the truth so that Grenadians everywhere would know exactly what is going on in this beautiful spice country of ours. And this is what I will continue to do. And yes, I do believe that oh my goodness, the verdict is not yet out on this mandatory. I hope and pray that cooler heads will prevail, because the people would speak, and the people will speak with their feet and with the pen. And I know it will. The people will speak at the ballot box, and then we will understand what exactly where Grenadians' minds are.
Right, right, right. Thank you, Mr. Clement. Any closing remarks you want to make before we wrap it up with the segment here?
Well,
Again,
I do thank you for having me on. I'm a half an hour late, but like I said to you, I did have contingency plan just in case if this happened. But I want to thank you again and thank your guests, thank all the viewers on social media, and to my brothers and sisters in the United States, Canada, England, wherever you might be. I would continue to advocate to keep Grenada in your thoughts and in your prayers, and by all means adhere to all the protocols that are out there, because 19 is for real and we are not yet over that hurdle. So work to protect yourself. God, to God be the glory. Thank you.
thank
Thank
you
you
so much.
very much,
Thank
Junior.
you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Tobias Clement. We appreciate you. And again, we have promised Mr. Tobias Clement that we'll try to wrap up early, but he had, because he have a other engagement that he has to attend to, so he went a little bit over time. We apologize for that. But he had contingency plans. But still, we continue in the conversation here, guys. I want you guys to call in because there are three things I want us to touch on, right? You guys could call in and give me your perspective views on it. One, about mandatory vaccination. What's your thoughts? And are you vaccinated? And what are you hearing on the ground? If you're in Grenada or if you're in the diaspora, your family on the ground, what are you hearing? What's your thoughts on mandatory vaccination? Also, anything else that we touch on tonight as it relates to the information that was presented by Mr. Modest, and anything that's happening that you want to talk about, let's call in live. Let's open up the phone lines, take this first call coming in. Call it, go right ahead, you're live.
Yes, Junior. I came in a bit late this evening,
Okay.
But what I want to find out, why is it that they making, at first the Prime Minister said the vaccine was not mandatory.
Right.
But on the other hand, he's saying that the business and them should allow their workers to get the vaccine to come in, because if you're not vaccinated, you can't go into certain places.
Right. Do me a favor. Do me a favor, caller. Hold on a second. Do me a favor. If you could just turn down your background audio a bit. It's giving me a feedback.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, what is going on with SGU? Look at all these workers now can't enter into the building because they didn't take the vaccine, right?
Yes.
They're saying that the vaccine is not mandatory. So if you're not eating plantain, a man just make you open your mouth and just shove plantain down and tell you to swallow. You can't do that to people. Where are our fundamental rights?
Right. Right.
To me, Grenada is too small for this thing that is going on in it. At first, this thing was done wrong. You didn't educate the people about the thing. You just bring the thing and you just want to give people. I mean, this is madness.
Yeah.
When you take this thing, Junior, if you die or you get sick, who will you go to? Who is responsible? You can't sue them. You can't take them to court because they're forcing you to take it and they're still telling you take at your own risk. That is advantage on us.
Yes.
There is a lot of people in Grenada who don't even have the proper education about this kind of things and them and these words and this being. Everything is going wrong with us, Junior. We need help. We need somebody to speak for us. Where is our rights? Where is it? What is really going on? No doctor, no lawyer, because even in the morning, there was a morning I heard on Mikey Live that somebody was saying, it's on Mikey or on another station. I don't want to say what I don't know. And they were saying even though they have to hold people or make the police hold them to give them vaccine. You understand? This thing is madness.
Yeah, right. That speculation, I cannot independently verify that is facts. I'm not privy.
I heard it on one of the station.
Yeah.
I heard it with my ears because
Yeah,
I listen to a lot of
I'm not saying
different programs on mornings.
I'm not saying that you didn't hear it, but anybody could say anything on the program. But I am not privy to anything where they say police will just hold you and vaccinate you like that. I cannot independently verify that, so I don't want to put that out as a fact.
Okay, but if you've been working with a company, you work 15 years, 17 years, and because you don't take a vaccine, you have to just go and sit down home? What is going on? Who to stand up for us, Junior?
Right. No, I agree. You have a valid point. It should be a personal decision, a personal choice that one make
Yes,
what
because
they goes into
I'm
their
gonna
body.
say something to you. Just before the before the COVID-19 came on, I took a flu shot. I nearly died. All over my skin, abscess right, left, and center.
You had an allergic reaction. You had an allergic reaction of some sort.
Right? One, they say allergic reaction. The other, they say maybe whatever the thing made of or some kind of other thing. This is if that happened to me with flu shot, why should I get up and go and take this vaccine that I don't know about, that don't even finish test yet? Tell me why they did not. Okay, one more point. When the vaccine came in, right? School of Medicine is a big company that do this, that, the other. Why they didn't give a few vaccine to School of Med? Let they test it out on animals or something down there before they start giving it to us as human beings.
Yeah.
What kind of laboratories?
Yeah. I get your point, caller, and you made some valid points. But I also encourage the powers that be to inform and educate the population a little bit more about the efficacy of the vaccine. There's a lot of people. Caller, thanks for calling. Okay, let me just make a general statement. Thanks. Yeah. Yeah. I think what really needs to happen, and this is the problem that I'm seeing. Right. This is the problem that I'm seeing. There are so much conspiracy and information that is going out. People just don't know what to believe anymore. People hearing so much different things, they just don't know what to believe. And you can't really blame people because the information is the people who are supposed to provide the credible information, they are not providing it as best and as much as people would like. So you're holding on, people grabbing onto all kind of straws. And I heard so many things. Here's one of the crazy things that I heard, and someone sent this video to me. They said that if you get vaccinated, the area of your arm where you got the shot is now magnetized. So you could take a you could take a spoon or whatever and put it on your arm, and it would stick on your arm because it has lead in the vaccine. I heard that, and that is false. That is plain false. But someone said it. Someone did a video about it, and all of a sudden, everyone say, "Oh, that's what happened. That's what happened after you get." But it is not factual. So there are a lot of information that are circulating that is not correct, right? So what people need to do as us as a people, as a group, we have to educate ourselves. The government should do more, I believe, in educating. Spend the $10,000 and or more and run campaign in small villages and let doctors and people, physicians and people who are in that trusted position tell people more, give people information. Also, run a campaign to try to acquisition more vaccines. That would be helpful because people now would have options. I'm not saying, I'm definitely not an anti-vaxxer. I tell you this, I had my vaccine. I had all my shots. All my family had their shots. Even my mother, I encouraged her to get the shots. I hold on. I see Mr. Tobias Clement. I see Tobias, you're not on air. I see you having trouble trying to log off. You could just swipe up and close it. You're not on air, but I see you having problems trying to get off. You could just swipe the app and close it off, and you're off. But you're not on air right now. All right? Yeah. So yeah, guys, there are a lot. There's so much misinformation that is circulating amongst our people. There are so much information, and you probably heard it as well. You guys probably heard about the magnetic thing. That is not true. That is simply not factual. People say it, people make claim about it, but it's not true, right? Anyway, 718-701-5720. I'm opening up the phone lines to get you guys' views on it. What's happening? What's your thoughts on mandatory vaccination? Also, I must add, right, that I just came from Jamaica sometime a few weeks ago, and everyone that work in the hotel industry frontline, I asked them, I said, so what is the deal here in terms of, vaccination? And everybody that's working right now had to be vaccinated, which told me that this is like a regional decision, right? it's not a right decision because, as uh, uh, um, opposition leader Tobias Clement said, and we already know that the vaccine is going through a phase. This is a phase approach, phased in approach. It's an authorization. It's a temporary use authorization phase. Well, let's take this caller. Caller, live. Where you calling us from? Hello.
Hi, from Grenada.
Hey, Grenada, go right ahead.
How you doing?
I'm good. Turn your background down a little bit because I'm hearing a little feedback.
Okay. I just want to make one point.
Yeah. Go ahead.
In the first case, it is mandatory vaccine. Listen, we have heard so many lies. We don't know what to believe. One question after that. When Joe Biden, the Chinese president, or whoever he be, tell us the truth, where this thing come from, then we'll consider taking the vaccine. We don't know nothing. All is a pile of lie. China saying it's not them, America saying it's not them, where it came from. That's the only thing I want to know. Where this disease come from? Is it a man-made or is it from God? I don't know. I want answers first before I could go ahead and take that vaccine.
Right. No, and I agree. I agree that we should have a better understanding. But you know what? A lot of those
What?
answers are just not available. Where it came
Why
from
not?
initially, I remember there was reports saying that it came from a bat somewhere in Wuhan city, some animal museum, food eat out place. They said that they're making rise to another set of allegations as to where it could possibly be like a lab leak or something like that. So we really don't know where it came from,
So
and
then
that is the question.
So how come they develop a vaccine for it? We don't know where it comes from. We don't know. Come on, you see, we really don't know where it came from. Come on, be honest. You see,
Okay.
if the powers that be lying to us, why should we? You understand? They come and just take a vaccine and they come up and say, look, yes, it's doing it. It's not preventing you from getting it. It's not preventing you from spreading it. What is the use of it? Well, you wouldn't kill you. They don't know.
Right.
They can't say that the vaccine wouldn't kill you if you get COVID. Nah, they reach too far with it. They don't get. Nobody knows.
Right.
You understand? I can't take something like telling me, oh, it wouldn't kill me. But I still could spread it, you know. And let me tell you something, darling. SGU, yes. The staff and the faculty take the shot, but when they finish, they're going to be bus. And they sit down with the Grenadian people who don't have the vaccine. And they're going back in the school the next day. What is the point? What is the point? You understand me? There's a lot of... Listen, I'm so confused that I'm not an anti-vaccine person, you understand what I'm saying? But it's too much a lie and too much a lie. The way people are so, uneasy in taking this thing. Not that they don't want it, it's just too much lie. And the people at the top, they're not honest. I want them to be honest with us. None of you don't want to take the vaccine, but come clean. That's all we asking. Come clean.
Right.
That's it.
Okay, caller, we appreciate your input.
All right, darling.
All right, thanks. Yeah. 718-701-5720. The question as to where the virus came from is a question that will be circulating for a while. There have been theories, everyone talking about different analogies. Nobody seemed to know as yet. But here's what one of my physician friends told me. Call on the line. Hold on for 1 second. Things like polio and other viruses, other things that came up and they created vaccine for, that is what eradicated some of these diseases, smallpox and all these other things. So vaccine is known for that. Vaccine is not a new thing, right? Let's take this call. Caller, where are you calling us from?
From Toronto.
Yeah, caller, where are you calling us from?
From Toronto.
Toronto, go right ahead, Toronto.
I just wanted to say, I do not find that Grenada should make the vaccine mandatory.
Right.
I find it should be a matter of choice.
Right.
To people. Canada, it is, and I'm not doing a comparison. I'm just saying, within Canada, it is a matter of choice.
Right.
However, within Ontario, the Minister of Health, she just said that I think one of the press people had actually said to her they are hearing a rumor that people are saying that it is mandatory. And she actually said to the public, no, I quote, it is not mandatory. However, she would advise everyone to take the vaccine, but it is not mandatory. It's a choice, and no one should actually be forced to take something that they are not sure of. And in my opinion, I find this is a form of abuse,
Right.
Manipulation, and disrespectful for one's life. I myself will not take the vaccine. I will not, and I have my reason, whether it's justifiable or not, in my opinion. I just find it's really too quick that they decided to just come up with a vaccine
Right.
for this virus. There were so many viruses that had been existed prior to that,
Mm-hmm.
and they had not came up with a solution. And
Yeah,
then all of a
no,
sudden now,
that's what I'm saying. A lot of viruses that came up, like smallpox, polio, right? They were eradicated because of vaccine. In fact, right now, and again, I'm not advocating for anyone. I'm not advocating for the mandatory use of vaccine. I'm just telling you the facts. Polio, smallpox, and a lot of those vaccines were eradicated because of vaccines. Sorry, those viruses was eradicated because of vaccines. In fact, if you travel into certain countries in Africa and in Europe, right, you have to take a particular vaccine that is requested, that is mandatory, before you even get permission or a visa to enter that particular country. Artists and other people, is not new to them. They know if they're going to perform at a show someplace in Africa, some countries in Africa, they have to take that vaccine. And they have been taking the vaccine. So I don't want to talk about it as it's a new thing. Vaccines are not new, but it's a
okay,
personal choice. It should be a personal
okay,
choice.
I do get that. I do get that perception, and I do respect what you were saying. But most importantly, it should not be made mandatory. I will not get it.
Right.
I asked a pharmacist while visiting there like 3 weeks ago, and I asked her the question. I said, everyone is so busy trying to get this vaccine, and so is it going to stick around like the flu shot, or is it just going to disappear because so many people actually trying to get this vaccine? And she said to me, no, it's going to stick around just like the flu. It's just that everybody is busy to get it. So, I mean, later on in life, I don't know what tomorrow brings, but then that's when I decide probably, I'm going to take it and allow my kids to take it. And no school in Canada, including my kids' school, cannot say to me, oh, your kids is not acceptable at school because they did not have the vaccine. This could be big trouble, like a lawsuit. You cannot discriminate.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot be in prejudice to turn a child or anybody away from work within Canada. What I don't like, though, is the fact that, and I respect many other countries, I think Canada is thinking about it too.
Mm-hmm.
I heard it very clearly on the news that they're thinking about what you call the vaccine passport. So in that case, when you're visiting countries, you have to have this proof that, I think Grenada has that you use, you take that vaccine. And so if you don't take that vaccine, then you cannot able to enter that country, which in my opinion is quite manipulative and rather controlling. You cannot really try to block one's life because of the fact that they don't have the vaccine. You don't want them to enter your country. Yet I respect every country's way, and if that's the way, that's the way. But overall, my point I'm trying to make is that you cannot force anybody to take the vaccine, and Grenada is going about the wrong way. That's my theory.
Right. I understand and I appreciate your input as well, caller. Thank you so much. 718-701-5720. We're talking about should vaccine be mandatory. Um, as far as it relates to travel, again, there is so much information that is circulating and circulating, and I hear people talking about GMO and DNA manipulation, and based on the information that I've looked at personally, again, um, the vaccine is a RNA vaccine. It's not a GMO and it's not a DNA. It doesn't manipulate or change DNA. As far as information, credible information that I got from physicians that I've spoken to. But there are this sense that from people that it's going to somehow change your DNA molecular structure of some sort. That has been debunked, but that is still out there. People honestly believe that. Let's take this call. Caller, you live. Where you calling us from?
I'm calling from Brooklyn, Junior.
Go right ahead, Brooklyn.
You know, one of my questions, I don't know who will be able to answer, but this is something that I've noticed. They need to take the vaccine to work. Hotels or, across the board in Grenada.
Mm-hmm.
But people who are coming in the country, you go into a hotel, I don't know if it's mandatory to get the vaccine before you come into the hotel. No. Why is it now Grenada pick up this copycat lotto style as America? If it is something that is a necessity for us to survive, why involve money in it?
Right.
I mean, it's mind-boggling. Here in America, if you take it, they put your name in the lotto, you win whatever the lotto is. Why? They never do it with polio and all these other things. So, if it's for our health.
Yeah. I think, and I understand what you're saying. I think, and I personally, when I heard the minister spoke, first the prime minister spoke about it in his previous press conference. I heard him mention that the government would support the initiative to incentivize people for taking the vaccine, which is also done in Antigua and other countries as well. And when I heard the minister said about it, I said, you know what? Wow, it's like people go say, well, yo, that is like trying to buy people in to take this vaccine.
Exactly.
And I don't think it's the right approach, right? I don't think it's the right approach.
Definitely not.
More emphasis need to be put on the fact of educating the population about what's in the vaccine and how the vaccine work. As I said, I had COVID, right? And as I lay there, I was thinking about, I was laying on my deathbed and I probably would not have survived another day. And I was saying, boy, if I end up in the hospital, what is it there that they could treat me with to probably resuscitate me? So I was thinking that was my last day, every single day. And some people, they never had an opportunity to even get the vaccine or to try any other option. Some people have cocktail that they could take when they get ill, but not everyone have the option of getting cocktail when they get ill. They just die. So there's no option, right? But I believe that more education had to be put on, an emphasis need to be put on that. Like, we don't know what's in Fensic. We don't know what's in Tylenol. I certainly don't know what's in cough syrup. I don't even know what's in hot dog. Hot dog, rice. What the hell is in rice? I don't know what's in a lot of different things, but I consume it. Nevertheless, I trust the people who do their prerequisite testing before it gets to my stomach. Me personally, I decided that I would get the vaccine. My family would get the vaccine, but that is my personal choice. But there are too much misinformation that is gathering out there that is confusing people, and I get it. It looks as if it's just too much. But caller, I get where you're coming from. Thank you so much. We appreciate your input. You want to say something else?
No.
All right, thanks. 718-701-5720. We're still talking about this here, about mandating vaccines, or governments pushing to mandate vaccines, or employers mandating vaccines, which to me, as I said, based on the travels that I've did in different countries in recent weeks, I've also learned that it's more of a regional. It seems like it's a regional or international. I might say so, international concept. Because my daughter, she goes to college, right? Not in Grenada, here in the U.S. And in order to go back on campus, all the students have to be vaccinated. Similarly, what the SGU students is being faced with right now, to go on the campus, everyone needs to be vaccinated. Not only in Grenada, but here. I'm not saying that is right? What if you have students who may have pre-existing conditions and they can't take the vaccine? What, they're gonna have to drop out from school, miss getting an education based on the fact that they can't take the vaccine because they have medical problems? All of these different things is a long shot, and it's difficult for people to deal with. But that's where we are. So let me get your view on it, guys. 717-015-720. I'm putting the number back up on the screen again. We want to get your views on the idea of mandating vaccines. Take this call. Caller, you live? Where are you calling us from?
Yes, I'm calling from Grenada.
Go right ahead, caller.
Right. I work in SU for over 25 years. SU supposed to have a health and safety committee.
Uh-huh.
And I asked that question, why it is the health and safety committee didn't pick up that matter, educate the staff down there, is one. The next thing, why it is SU dictating to the Grenadian people and not the government educating? Why it is the government moving like Nicodemus and using SU to target all people? Okay? My question to you, how much persons died in Grenada with cancer this year? What is the record on that? And how much persons died in Grenada with COVID? And don't tell me one person, because we know that is not true. But I would like to know people die. Why the focus is not dealing with cancer and the other ailment? And how much people died in the world with COVID this year compared with cancer? That is my question.
Right. And I know it's a lot. There have been so many reports that I've heard. I don't have the statistics in front of me, but I know there's a lot of people who died of cancer. And so far in Grenada. But let me ask you a question, caller. Grenada, we had one fatality of COVID-19, right? Do you think
that is not true?
They have more than one fatality of COVID-19 in Grenada?
The family member come out publicly and said the father didn't die from that. And even throughout the region, these people who died with COVID, there is no record, medical record, okay, with autopsy saying that people died from COVID.
Well, no,
okay?
that's a whole other question. So are you saying, your assumption is that people didn't actually die from COVID?
CDC record, there's any record proving that they did autopsy and see what these people die, or they just die and they burn the body?
No. Let me just get your premise. You're saying that people that died didn't die from COVID.
There's no record to prove that. There's no medical record to that doctor open up the body and to determine what that person died from.
Right, they died from.
There's no medical record.
It's respiratory. And here's why I'm asking this question, because there is an idea out there that I heard floating around that initially people was assuming that it was some kind of 5G, and that's how people die from. Is that your trend of thought?
That is what it started off with.
Huh?
Okay, that is what it started saying in the beginning. Okay, but up to today, Dr. Fungi right now is the dismissal and investigation is going on.
Mm-hmm.
The next thing, a cruise ship, they say to enter the cruise ship, you have to be fully vaccinated to go on the cruise ship. 2 persons on the cruise ship right now have COVID. That is news come out. The vaccine what they're giving you, this is what people keep on saying, the government, we don't have a choice. Okay? I myself, I wait in, if they come with a vaccine, I follow what Cuba is doing. Cuba is doing the research, and they're doing the testing on the people, and then they go and bring forward a report and say, what is the finding? But you have in the AstraZeneca, and the U.S. president is saying he has so much in that, and he's not using it because The FDA
Yeah.
haven't certified.
Yeah, but let me
But you're going to give it out to South America and other countries.
right. Let me stop
But
you
our
there.
leaders, yeah,
Let me stop you there because I don't want to add to the misinformation, confusion, disinformation. I don't want to add to that, right? You have your ideas of COVID doesn't exist and people didn't die from COVID. That's fine. That's all well and good. But based on the
but
science,
where's
based
the medical reports?
right. Well, no, that is fine. You can have that assumption, but I don't want to add to the confusion to the general public. And a lot of people getting more confused now. What the hell is going on? What is this? And I don't want to add to that. So let's just leave that part there. I will have a forum where we probably could discuss more for it, but I don't want to have this discussion right now, if you don't mind. But
Yeah,
I still appreciate
yeah,
your input on it. All right. Thank you so much, caller.
yeah, yeah.
718-701-5720. Guys, in fact, I think I have to run out right now because I'm kind of way over time. But here's what I would the I advice that I would give if anyone cared to listen to the government. I think that mandating or pressuring people to take the vaccine in that way, it adds to the frustration and people's confusion. Right? People start to think, well, why so much of pressure? Why so much of pressure? I think the idea should be kind of more like what has been done in places like Barbados, where they are giving information, a very educated population. They're educating the population, giving them the facts. So they could decipher from facts versus fiction, right? If you don't have the facts, any little thing that you hear, you go grab at it because you go say that is what the reality, when in fact it is not. So I think what needed to be done, if the government and them are listening, and probably they should have done that way before, is having more outreach that educate about the vaccine. Have different people that could speak educatively speak on it, and also acquire, if it's possible at this point in time, acquire a variety of different vaccines. People probably not very comfortable with the AstraZeneca, but they might be willing to take the Pfizer, which I had, or the Moderna, or the Johnson and Johnson, right? That is something that I think that should be a focal point. Government should be more looking into acquiring different options. What about, as the minister said, the Sputnik, or the one from China? Sorry, from Cuba. Those options might be far fetched from now because we know about the US and the embargo and Cuba. We understand how that works with the WHO and all this stuff. We understand that. But have a variety, have options, give people options. And we might see a drastic spike in people lining up to take the vaccine if they have variety. That might be the answer to this question right here. But you can mandate it. You shouldn't mandate it, especially with a vaccine that have emergency use authorization. All right. There are people that may have um, problems, allergies, right? Then they cannot consume the vaccine because of what might be inside of the vaccine. They cannot take it for many different reasons. They shouldn't be left out of job because of their pre-existing condition. And some people don't even know what their pre-existing condition, or if they have pre-existing condition, because a lot of people in Grenada and the Caribbean, they don't frequent the doctor like that. Women probably go to the doctor more frequently, but a lot of men don't even know if they have pre-existing condition. So they have to go through a step of checking themselves and understanding and knowing if they themselves don't have any kind of allergies that might go against the vaccine and cause internal damage to their bodies, right? But I'll leave it right there, guys. Um, I'll end it right there. It was definitely a lengthy discussion, a lengthy conversation. We'll have another conversation again, like that again, sometime in the near future, where we could get your input. And as always, we love to hear from you. Anyway, guys, I got to run. Thank you so much. Today's Wednesday. Tomorrow, we have another interesting discussion and another interesting ride along. We thank you for being a part of it. On Friday, we have the Right Trivia. Looking to see you guys back here on Friday. We want everybody to go ahead right now and subscribe to our YouTube page, guys, right? Subscribe to our YouTube page. We're going to move in all of our programming over to YouTube. We just pinned the YouTube page right at the bottom right there. And I want everyone to click that page and subscribe to us on YouTube. Do that right now, right? Look, being invaded by mosquitoes. Yeah, I'm being invaded by mosquitoes. It happens every time, right? Anyway, yeah, go ahead and subscribe to us on YouTube and click that bell so when we move all of our programming on YouTube, you'll get notification. Also, we just launched our brand new website, riderslive.com. That's riderslive.com. We want you guys to click that, go to the page. You can watch Ride Along 24 hours a day, plus other programmings, 24 hours programming on riderslive.com. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for being a part of our program. We'll catch you guys again tomorrow. Bye-bye.
David Williams Funeral Service serve you with dignity and compassion as you mourn. Every day, we embark on the journey of life, and one day, the journey will end. It's on that day that you can entrust the celebration of life of your loved ones to David Williams Funeral Service. Call 718-291-38.
All night, hey, 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 all night, we doing it. All night, hey, 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 all night, we doing it. All night, I 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 doing it. I'm getting on bad, and this whole night I'm doing it. Making a bacchanal, and this whole night I'm doing it. I'm behaving rude, and this whole.
Welcome to TD Bank, where you'll find the personalized attention you deserve and the legendary experience you expect. Let's do business. If you are a medical or dental practitioner, contact me to hear about our tailored lending solutions for residential mortgages, equipment purchases, practice-related commercial mortgages and refinance. Visit me at 500 Baychester Avenue to hear more about our full range of personal and small business banking solutions. See you soon.